There are places on this planet that break every rule of nature.
And that we don't see anything like it anywhere else on Earth.
From skies that explode with pillars of light to storms that never stop striking the same place for centuries, these are real locations that have left scientists terrified. They are real, recorded, and deeply unsettling. What's most disturbing is that many of these places are still active and some are growing stronger. No one knows what triggers them or when the next one will awaken. The real question is, which one will happen next? Nadaghat Waterfall. In western India, deep inside the Western Ghats, there is a cliff where gravity seems to fail completely. At Nadaghat, during the violent monsoon season, when warm ocean air collides with cooler land winds, causing weeks of non-stop rain and powerful storms, something shocking happens. The water doesn't fall down, it shoots upward. Thousands of gallons of water surge back into the sky, forming a white mist that climbs the cliff as if pulled by some invisible force. The sight is so unnatural that even locals avoid getting too close. The air pressure changes so sharply that people report difficulty breathing, and the roar of wind and water is so loud that it feels like standing beside a jet engine. Scientists have confirmed that extreme updrafts or vertical winds occur in this area, caused by the unique shape of the valley and the speed of monsoon storms. However, those explanations still do not fully account for what happens at Nadaghat. The wind speeds required to lift that much water should destroy the surrounding trees, but they remain standing. Instruments placed near the site often fail due to heavy moisture and electrical interference, making it nearly impossible to record consistent data. What makes Nadaghat even more disturbing is that it never behaves the same way twice. Sometimes, without any warning, the water stops falling and hangs in midair. Other times, it's pushed higher by sudden gusts before crashing back down with force. People who have seen it say it's impossible to tell what will happen next, and that unpredictability is what makes it so frightening. No other waterfall in India or anywhere else shows this behavior. Researchers from Pune and Mumbai have tried to map the air currents using drones, but several have crashed without clear cause. Some locals believe there is a hidden vent or underground heat pocket influencing the air pressure, but no geological survey has confirmed this. To this day, Nadaghat remains one of India's most unexplained and terrifying natural sights. Winstead, Minnesota. In January 2019, the quiet town of Winstead, Minnesota was thrown into panic. Late one freezing night, the sky suddenly filled with giant glowing beams that shot straight upward into the night sky. Dozens of white and orange columns rose from the ground to the clouds, bright enough to light entire streets. There was no sound, no movement, and no warning. People ran outside thinking there had been an explosion or that something was falling from the sky. The air was completely still, the cold was biting, and the light kept growing brighter until the entire sky looked alive. Scientists rushed to explain it, calling it a rare case of light pillars. They said it happened because flat ice crystals in the air reflected light from buildings and street lamps back toward the sky. But that explanation did not fit what people saw. The light was too bright, too high, and too perfectly shaped. Instruments showed that night was cold, but not cold enough to form that many crystals. Some locals claimed the light stayed visible for nearly 40 minutes, far longer than any known pillar formation should last. Even stranger, some security cameras captured electrical interference while the lights appeared, as if something was disturbing the area's magnetic field. Others said they felt pressure in their ears and chest, like a silent shockwave. When the lights finally vanished, the town fell completely silent again. Nothing burned. No power lines were damaged, and no one could find any trace of what caused it. Experts still have no clear answer. They cannot explain how so many pillars appeared at once, or why the air seemed charged while they glowed. Devil's Eye Spring. People who stumble across it say the first thing they notice is the smell. The air feels thick, like acid. Your lungs burn before you even see the water. Then, as the ground opens ahead, a perfect circle of color appears. Red, yellow, and green, swirling like a wound in the earth. This is the Devil's Eye Spring in Qinghai, China, and it is one of the most hostile places on the planet. The pool constantly releases clouds of sulfur gas so toxic that small animals die if they get too close. The surrounding soil is scorched and lifeless. Nothing grows there, not even bacteria that normally survive in volcanic vents. Researchers know that the Devil's Eye is powered by sulfur and heat rising from deep underground. Gas measurements show extremely high levels of hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, the same chemicals found in active volcanic vents. But this creates a major problem. There are no volcanoes or magma chambers anywhere near the site, so where is this gas coming from? Ground-penetrating radar has revealed hollow pockets under the surface, but they are too deep and too unstable to reach safely. Drilling attempts have failed because instruments corrode within hours from the acidic air. The color shifts also remain unexplained. At times the pool turns blood red, then pale green within a single night. Some scientists believe it is caused by mineral reactions, but others point out that the timing is irregular and unpredictable. Satellite imaging shows small surface movements around the spring every few months, suggesting that pressure deep underground is constantly changing. Yet no seismic activity has ever been detected. What exactly lies beneath this spring? Could it be a trapped geothermal system or something completely unknown to geology? The Devil's Eye continues to defy every theory. It is a pool that shouldn't exist, and one that science still cannot fully understand. Catatumbo lightning. For more than 500 years, a storm has raged almost every night over Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela. Locals call it the eternal lightning, and scientists still cannot fully explain why it never ends. Each night, the sky erupts with flashes so constant that they can continue for up to 10 hours straight, producing as many as 280 lightning strikes per hour. From miles away, it looks like the sky itself is on fire. Pilots use it as a natural lighthouse because it can be seen from hundreds of kilometers away and even from space. Yet beneath that beauty lies one of the most frightening and least understood weather systems on Earth. Researchers have studied the Catatumbo region for decades. The leading theory is that warm, moist air from the Caribbean collides with cooler mountain winds, creating a constant electrical charge. Some scientists believe methane gas rising from nearby swamps intensifies the reaction, while others blame trapped heat under the basin. But none of these theories explain why the lightning forms in the exact same location and why it has continued for centuries without a break. When the storm briefly disappeared in 2010, meteorologists thought it was finally over. A few weeks later, it returned stronger than before. What truly disturbs scientists is how stable it remains while global weather patterns shift. Climate change has altered wind systems and rainfall across the world, but the Catatumbo storm refuses to change. Instruments have recorded voltage levels higher than those found in supercell storms, yet there is no damage to the surrounding region. How does the Earth generate that much power in one place and sustain it indefinitely? No atmospheric model can reproduce it. The Catatumbo lightning remains one of the planet's most haunting reminders that even the atmosphere has secrets we cannot control or understand. Eye of the Sahara. No one knows why the middle of the Sahara Desert is marked by a massive, flawless circle large enough to be seen from space. The Eye of the Sahara, officially called the Richat structure, spans almost 30 miles across, yet no one can agree on how it formed. The circle's precision is unnatural. Each ring is nearly symmetrical, built from layers of rock that follow a perfect spiral pattern. Satellite scans show the structure is magnetic in certain areas, suggesting metal hidden deep beneath the surface, but no one has ever drilled far enough to find out what it is. When scientists first studied it, they were certain it had to be an impact crater. But that theory collapsed after no meteor fragments, melted glass, or pressure-formed minerals were found. The next theory claimed it was volcanic, but there are no lava deposits or vent channels anywhere near it. Erosion was proposed next, yet erosion cannot explain why the rings are so evenly spaced or why the center is uplifted instead of hollowed out. Every test produces new contradictions. Even the age of the formation remains uncertain. Some measurements suggest it is 100 million years old, while others claim it could be more than 500 million. The surrounding desert shows no trace of the forces that should have shaped it. Radar imaging has also revealed deep underground voids around its center, huge empty spaces that could extend for miles. Scientists don't know what caused them or why they exist only beneath this one structure. The eye's geometry matches nothing else on Earth. It breaks the rules of geology, symmetry, and time. Some experts now call it the most perfect natural circle ever discovered, yet there is no verified process that could have built it. The Eye of the Sahara remains one of the planet's most disturbing geological mysteries, too perfect to be random, too ancient to be explained. Devil's Kettle. Deep inside Minnesota's Judge C.R. Magny State Park lies a hole in the earth that devours half a river. Known as Devil's Kettle, it has baffled and terrified scientists for decades. The Brule River flows normally until it splits at a cliff. One stream crashes downward in a typical waterfall. The other rushes into a gaping pit of black rock and vanishes completely. Locals say the hole hums at night, a low vibration that seems to rise from inside the ground. Some claim you can feel it through your boots, like something breathing beneath you. For years, researchers and thrill seekers have tried to solve the mystery. They have tossed in everything from logs and ping pong balls to glowing dye and GPS trackers. None of it has ever reappeared. Even the dye, a chemical specifically designed for tracing water, disappeared as if the Earth had erased it. Divers have been warned to stay away as the current is violent, and the water pressure is enough to crush a body. Rocks above the opening are slick and unstable. Several explorers have fallen and been pulled under, their bodies never recovered. The U.S. Geological Survey once measured flow rates upstream and downstream. The numbers matched, proving the water somehow returns to the river. But no one has ever seen where or how. Geologists suspect an ancient lava tube or a fractured cave system beneath the basalt rock. Others believe that the kettle is not a tunnel at all, but a geological sink where water is pulled into the crust itself. Standing near the edge, the roar grows louder and the mist gets colder. Everything you drop in disappears, and the longer you watch, the more the ground seems to tremble, as if the earth below is hungry. Taos hum, New Mexico, USA. A low, endless hum haunts the quiet town of Taos, New Mexico. It isn't loud, but it's there. It's a deep vibration felt more than heard. To some residents, it sounds like a distant engine idling underground. To others, it's a pulsing pressure in the skull that never stops. Only a small percentage of people can hear it, but those who do describe it as maddening. The hum has driven some to insomnia, anxiety, and even mental breakdowns. What terrifies scientists is that every attempt to record it fails. Audio sensors and microphones detect nothing unusual, yet witnesses report hearing it at the same time from different parts of town. Military engineers, geologists, and sound experts have all studied it. They have checked for underground drilling, electromagnetic interference, power grid vibrations, and natural seismic activity, yet nothing matches. The sound is real to those who hear it, but invisible to every piece of modern equipment. Some experts suggest it could be a combination of low-frequency industrial noise mixed with the brain's own internal tones. Others suspect geological resonance or even auditory hallucinations triggered by unknown environmental factors. Yet none of these theories can explain why the hum appears in multiple towns worldwide, or why it affects only certain people. The most disturbing part is that the Taos hum follows no pattern. It can stop for months, then return stronger than before. No source has ever been identified, no device ever found. For scientists, it is a living contradiction, a sound that exists and doesn't exist at the same time. And for the people of Taos, it's a reminder that something unseen beneath the earth may still be calling out. The bottomless throat of France. In the small French town of Tonnerre, a hole in the ground has confused scientists for generations. Known as Fosse d'Ion, the spring sits quietly in the middle of a street. From above, it is a small pool of clear blue water that looks harmless. But beneath the surface, it drops straight into the earth. The hole is narrow, and the pressure is strong enough to pull anything down. Scientists have confirmed that Fosse d'Ion is part of a karst system, which is a network of underground limestone tunnels shaped by water over thousands of years. Rain seeps through cracks in the rock, dissolving the limestone and forcing water back to the surface through this spring. Studies show that the water likely comes from a deep aquifer far below the town. It flows constantly, even during long periods without rain. Divers and researchers have explored it for decades. They have measured depths of more than 70 meters before the passage narrows and splits into smaller tunnels. Cameras and sonar devices have shown several chambers branching out in different directions. The structure is complex, and strong currents make further exploration dangerous. Several divers have died trying to map it. What scientists do not know is how deep the spring really goes. No one has reached the bottom. Sonar and drone signals stop working beyond a certain point, usually between 80 and 100 meters. The cause is unknown. It could be the result of collapsed rock or interference from minerals in the water. The true origin of the water also remains uncertain. Tests show that it might come from miles away through a hidden network of channels. Today, the spring sits behind a stone wall, open to the public. Tourists lean over the edge to watch the water shimmer, unaware they are staring into one of the deepest mysteries in France. Rock of Al-Nazla. At the edge of the Tema oasis in Saudi Arabia stands a boulder that has confused scientists for years. The Rock of Al-Nazla is a single stone divided by a perfectly straight vertical split that runs clean from top to bottom. The cut is so even that each side mirrors the other with near mathematical precision. Between them is a gap no wider than a sheet of paper. The boulder itself rests on two small rock bases that seem too narrow to carry its weight. Yet despite centuries of exposure to wind, rain, and shifting sand, the halves have not moved. They have remained aligned as though locked in place. Geologists have studied the formation closely. The leading explanation is that the rock is sandstone and cracked along a natural fault line after internal pressure built up. Others suggest changes in temperature may have caused the surface to expand and split. These ideas explain the possibility of a fracture, but they do not explain why it is perfectly straight or why the two halves remain balanced rather than collapsing. Tests show no evidence of tool marks or human interference. Still, the symmetry of the split looks too clean for random erosion. Some researchers have proposed that ancient seismic activity or lightning strikes could have caused it, releasing energy that split the rock instantly. To this day, no one can reproduce a split with the same precision using natural forces. The formation continues to stand in the desert, silent and unshifting. It is one of the clearest examples of nature producing something that looks deliberately engineered and one of the strangest puzzles geology has yet to solve. The Crooked Forest. Hidden near the town of Gryfino in western Poland, the Crooked Forest contains roughly 400 pine trees that share the same impossible shape. Each trunk bends at a perfect right angle near its base, then straightens upward toward the sky. The bends all point north, and every tree appears to have been forced into this position at the same stage of growth. Experts believe the grove was planted around 1930, but no records exist showing who planted it or why. Many assume people must have shaped the trees by bending them with tools, weights, or wooden frames, but there are no marks or scars on the trunks to support that idea. What makes it even more puzzling is that the nearby forests, planted during the same period, grew perfectly straight. The soil is normal, the climate is calm, and there has never been a storm strong enough to bend hundreds of trees in exactly the same way. Yet, in this one small area, every tree curves in the same direction, as if following a plan no one remembers. Some scientists have suggested that a human experiment might have taken place in the 1930s or early 1940s, possibly related to wartime equipment testing or wood manipulation for shipbuilding. Others have proposed stranger possibilities, including brief gravitational shifts or sudden bursts of electromagnetic energy from unexplained sources during World War II. None of these ideas fit the evidence. What disturbs researchers most is that this forest defies every natural pattern known to science. It behaves as if something unknown passed through that land once and left behind a permanent mark no one can understand. The Chocolate Hills. Over 1,000 perfect cone-shaped hills rise out of the ground in the heart of Bohol, Philippines. They stretch across the landscape like a massive geometric pattern that no one can explain. Each hill stands around the same height, shaped almost exactly alike, and during the dry season they all turn brown, earning the name Chocolate Hills. Scientists have studied them for years, and still no one can fully explain how they formed. The most common theory says they were ancient coral reefs, lifted by tectonic forces, but that doesn't explain their symmetry. Others think they came from volcanic activity, but there are no nearby volcanoes. Some believe they were carved by erosion, but erosion never works this neatly. Tests have even found marine fossils halfway up the hills, proving the land was once under the sea. Yet there's no record of how it rose and shaped itself into perfect cones. What disturbs researchers is how uniform everything is. The size, the shape, the spacing. Nature doesn't work this way. It's too precise. No known geological process can create thousands of identical structures side by side. Local legends say they're the tears of giants or the remains of a forgotten war between supernatural beings. Scientists don't believe that, but they admit the truth is no less strange. The Chocolate Hills remain a terrifying geological mystery, one that looks more like design than chance, and no one can say what or who was responsible. Plain of Jars, Laos. Scattered across the hills of northern Laos are thousands of enormous stone jars, each carved from solid rock and weighing up to 30 tons. They stretch for miles across the landscape, sitting in clusters like a silent army of forgotten relics. Some are taller than a person, others are cracked, half-buried, or resting on ancient stone discs that look like lids, though none have ever been confirmed to match. The most chilling part is that no one knows who made them, how they were made, or why. Archaeologists have been trying to solve the mystery for decades. The jars appear to be over 2,000 years old, but tests on surrounding soil, bones, and artifacts produce conflicting dates. Some analyses place them in the Iron Age. Others suggest much older origins. There are no written records, no carvings, and no known civilization in the region capable of shaping and moving stones of that size. Each jar was hollowed from solid rock using unknown techniques. No chisels or tools have ever been found nearby. Local legends claim they were made by giants to brew rice wine after a great battle, a story that, strangely, makes as much sense as any scientific theory so far. Theories about their true purpose range from burial urns to massive containers for storing food or fermenting alcohol, but none explain the scale or precision of their construction. Some jars are located miles away from the nearest known source of stone, meaning they were somehow transported across rugged terrain without the use of wheels, metal tools, or animals capable of hauling such weight. If people went to such extraordinary effort to move them, it implies the jars held immense cultural or spiritual importance, something powerful enough to justify a task that defied logic and physical. Until someone discovers who made them and how, the plain of jars remains one of archaeology's most terrifying enigmas, proof that entire histories can still vanish without a trace. Smoking tree phenomenon. In December 2019, a video surfaced online showing what appeared to be a tree smoking in the middle of winter. The footage, filmed in a rural area whose exact location was never verified, showed visible plumes rising steadily from the trunk while the surrounding snow remained untouched. There was no fire, no heat distortion, and no damage to the bark. The tree stood intact, releasing what looked like smoke for several hours before stopping completely. It has never happened again, not there or anywhere else. Experts were baffled. Thermal scans of the area taken later showed no residual heat, ruling out hidden combustion or electrical causes. Geologists suggested it could have been geothermal venting, where warm gas escaped through the roots from deep underground, but there were no nearby fault lines or volcanic systems to support that idea. Botanists tested the tree for decay, sap reaction, and trapped gas buildup, yet all samples came back normal. The wood showed no burns, no cracks, and no internal heat pockets. Some scientists propose the vapor might have been condensation from a sudden temperature drop, but that still doesn't explain the concentrated stream coming from only one tree. The event remains unrepeatable and unexplained. What unsettles researchers most is that this single incident defies basic physics: smoke without heat, vapor without moisture, and energy without a source. Since 2019, the smoking tree has become a haunting reminder that even in the age of high-definition cameras and global science networks, nature can still produce something truly unexplainable, and then never do it again. Stone spheres of Costa Rica. Deep in the jungles of southern Costa Rica lie hundreds of massive stone spheres, some weighing over 15 tons. They are so perfectly round that modern engineers have measured deviations of less than a few millimeters. Yet they were created more than 1,000 years ago, long before the region had metal tools or advanced measuring equipment. Archaeologists have uncovered more than 300 of these spheres scattered across ancient settlements and riverbeds. Some are the size of bowling balls, while others are as large as cars. Many were found buried or grouped in strange patterns, but no carvings, inscriptions, or remains accompany them. There are no signs of how they were moved or shaped from solid granite and gabbro, materials almost impossible to work by hand. Researchers have proposed that the spheres marked tribal boundaries, served astronomical purposes, or symbolized the sun. Yet none of these ideas explain their scale, precision, or distribution. Radiocarbon dating of nearby artifacts only adds confusion, placing their creation anywhere between 500 and 1500 CE. The technology needed to shape and polish such hard stone with this level of accuracy remains unknown. For now, the stone spheres of Costa Rica stand as silent proof that some ancient skills may have been lost forever. Hessdalen lights. In a quiet valley in central Norway, strange glowing lights appear in the sky without warning. People who have seen them describe bright orbs floating above the ground, sometimes moving slowly, other times shooting away at unbelievable speed. The lights change color from white to yellow to red and often hover silently for several minutes before vanishing. These are known as the Hessdalen lights, and they have been witnessed and recorded for more than 40 years. Scientists have filmed the lights, captured them on radar, and even built a permanent observation station in the valley to study them. Yet no one has been able to explain what they are. The lights act as if they are controlled by something. They can stop suddenly, move in patterns, or seem to react to people watching from below. Cameras record them clearly, but instruments that should detect solid objects find nothing. Experts have tried to link the phenomenon to natural causes. Some think the lights might be glowing gas created by minerals in the ground reacting to pressure. Others suggest they could be air particles rubbing together to make static energy. A few believe they are a form of glowing mist or trapped electricity. But none of these ideas can explain why the lights appear at random or why they move with such precision. For decades, the Hessdalen lights have defied every test and every theory. They are real, visible, and measurable, yet they do not behave like anything known in nature. Scientists admit they are still no closer to the truth. The lights remain one of Earth's most unsettling mysteries, a quiet reminder that even in a world mapped by satellites, something unexplained can still move freely through the night sky.